Hi everyone, and welcome to Tom and Harry SMMA. In this video, we're actually going to talk about knowing your numbers as a marketing agency. So, what do you need to know that you've got to give back to your client? What type of reporting do you have to do? How much do you have to justify the number breakdown for them to look at it and go, "Oh, this is great," and they feel comfortable, happy, and continue with you? So, really, Harry, let's just get straight into it, mate.
Yeah.
Um, we have this, but like those listening, we have half the battle with clients. It's not battle. It feels like a battle to me and you, doesn't it, mate? But it's just you can't just go, well, we brought in this many leads,
No.
or we've brought in this many consultations. There is a real knack on communicating those figures to clients. And we're going to tell you now what we do as a business, and this is something which me and Harry are very, very strong on.
Yeah.
So what is it like? What? How do we communicate it, and what are we doing? What are we saying to them? What numbers are we giving them?
So this is essentially the obviously a lot of these figures can be plugged into a business manager, but trusting your client to go into your Facebook business manager or
Yeah,
trusting them to go into your YouTube business manager and finding these metrics and digesting them themselves is very, very difficult and you can't trust them to do it. Also, when you're reporting your results back to clients, you need to be very aware of what type of person that is. Some clients of ours are like Harvard MBAs in fucking finance and they understand every single metric, or will get on a call with their accountant. And obviously, an accountant is very numbers orientated. Compare that to a 75-year-old woman who's been running their business for 50 years and doesn't really know to a good level what profit they've made every single year. They're
yeah.
not going to understand very good detail. They're just not. So you have to change your reporting depending on what type of person that is. Like if I'm doing the numbers with an accountant, we'll be crunching numbers on spreadsheets and spreadsheets and spreadsheets and spreadsheets. Whereas that 70-year-old woman, it's a one-page Canva doc with the headline figures of money spent and money got back. That's all she cares about.
Yeah.
But to run through some key figures is you need to that client needs to know every single I would say now every single week and every single month what they've spent and what they've got back. So weekly, it needs to be quite headline. It needs to be, we've spent
How
this.
you just explain like how you do it? Like how are you doing that in person? Are you going to their premises? Are you doing it on Zoom?
Right.
Like, what prep do you need from them? Like, tell everyone what we're
Right.
doing.
So this kind of goes into a bit of account management, which obviously for us, we've got our account managers and our media buyers that work together with us overseeing them. For you, because majority of the people of this are under 10K with not an employee, you'll be doing this yourself, which makes it easier. So in terms of account management, you need to be getting on a call with them bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks, get them on a call and you need to have a monthly summary call. That's not to say in between those bi-weekly calls that you never speak to that client. You will speak, especially in the first 2, 3 months until you get them up to standard. Once the results are coming in, you'll have that bi-weekly call. But on a weekly basis, they need to be getting at least a Loom video from you that
Yeah,
outlines, just a summary of what you've done that week. So again, to remind them what activity you're actually doing. Because the big problem, isn't it, mate, is clients don't understand, especially when you're getting them results. They're like, right, results coming through. What are we paying Tom and Harry to do if they're just leaving ads up? Which is obviously completely not true.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so that you send them a Loom video of, right, we've spent this, we've got this many leads back. Obviously, when you work with a client, whether it's an e-com brand or it's a lead generation or like service-based business, you'll be getting feedback, or you need that feedback loop either through a CRM, even a spreadsheet, the ad manager, of what those leads have actually converted to. If it's an
yeah,
e-commerce brand, you'll see, right, we've spent this and this has been the return on ad spend. And
yeah,
that needs to be reported back to the client. And then on a monthly basis, you have that monthly roundup of like over a larger scale of what you spent and what you've got back. The most important part of this, which is where people go wrong, is they don't understand net profit, gross profit, profit margins, overheads, fixed costs, operational costs, variable costs. They don't understand business and they don't understand how to run a company because they're not running a company themselves. And
yeah,
even your clients, they don't understand that because, like we said in the last video, majority of business owners that you work with will be inexperienced, although they'll have quite good companies on paper. They don't know their numbers because they rely on their accountant to do it.
yeah,
So that is your job as the marketing company, as a performance growth partner. You need to educate them on the numbers, because if you go, well, I don't know them, then that's going to bite you in the arse in a few months' time. So what Tom and I do is we sit down with them at the beginning to get those figures first of all. Like we need to understand what their fixed costs are, what their variable costs are for every customer, what their target cost per acquisition is. So what they're willing to pay for a customer to make that profitable. So
But we often ask for like the magic number, don't we? We often say to clients, like, what is the magic number of new clients you need to see every week to make this profitable? Not just on us, but like to make it worthwhile. What are we looking at and work towards? And that's something we are really very, very keen on to know.
yeah. So what we do if it's an e-commerce brand, an e-commerce brand is actually easier to crunch the numbers than a lead generation because there's less figures because you've got the cost of goods, you've got the picking and packing and the shipping. What lots of people do, and this is where if you're not switched on with your agency, is you'll generate, say, £50,000 for a client in a month, minus the cost of goods, minus your picking and packing, your shipping. So you say you're left with 25 grand to make it easy, 50% less. That client, to discredit the activity you've done, will say, right, now minus the cost of the warehouse out of that profit we've made you. And you can't do that with a marketing campaign because whether they've spent that money on marketing or not, that is a fixed cost that they're already going to have to account for.
Yeah, and we've had this. So we've had clients who have said to us, "Oh, well, I'm not profitable, but we've made you 150,000 in 9 months." Yeah, well, I've only made out of that 150,000, I've only made 20.
And they'll say because of my 10 employees, and it's like you already have those 10.
Yeah, they will say because I've got to pay my staff and I've got this person and this person and I've got heating, electric, and I've got all the building that I need to pay for. And so their expectation is that our campaigns should account for every penny of expenses they have at a top level, which is mad because, like Harry's saying, they're going to have to pay for a warehouse anyway. That building is there. That landlord is collecting that rent, whether you've got one client or 100.
Yeah, there's the only caveat to that, to play devil's advocate on their part, would be, if they're opening up new rooms for the heating and electric and stuff. But that's by the by. There obviously are a few exceptions. There's a few exceptions, but to minus your fixed costs away from your marketing spend is just silly. So that's number one from an e-commerce perspective and from lead generation. But the main problem with lead generation is that they don't understand their conversion rates from each part. So they don't know what they're happy to pay to acquire a customer. They know what a cost per lead is, but they don't know what a cost per consultation is, a cost per SAT consultation is, a cost per payment plan submitted is. So on all of our clients, we know exactly what the cost is for each stage of that pipeline, all the way up to cost for a cost per customer. And why people go so wrong is they'll limit their reporting to cost per lead, and they'll think, oh yeah, we're doing a really good job getting you a £5 cost per lead, and you're telling me that you're having a few consults here, a few consults there. But when you dive into them, 6 months in, when they're saying they're not making any money, it's an absolute disaster.
I don't even think people do that. I think we're giving people way too much credit. I think people just go, "We brought you in 50 leads this month."
Yeah.
And this is the problem: is people start these marketing agencies, and this is something we teach our students relentlessly: is you've got to know your numbers and you've got to talk the right lingo. You can't just say. And I do think this happens where people go, "Well, we've brought you in 100 add to carts, and we've also brought you in like 50. Well, we brought you in 50 leads this month." And it's like, well, what, you've got to talk. We brought you in this many leads. We're paying this much for a person to come through your door. We're paying this much money.
Yep.
And you're now converting 1 in 3.
Yeah. So a prime example of where this goes wrong is, right, say you get a £20 cost per lead. You get, based on the conversion rate, a cost per consultation is, say, £100 based on only a certain number of leads leading to a number of consultations. And, you do it all the way up to the fact that a cost per purchase to get someone to buy your client's £1,000 product is £500.
Yeah.
Let's say that, for example. So your ad campaign costs £500 to get a £1,000 sale. In most beginner marketing agencies' heads, they're saying, right, we're spending £500 to get a £1,000 sale. That's amazing. We're doubling our money. But when you sit down with a client and you find out that client only has a 50% margin on that £1,000 product, they're breaking even.
Yeah.
So to you, oh, we're doubling their money. We're doing a really good job. We're not going to lose them. You sit down at the end of the month and their accountant goes, well, no, we've not made any money. In fact, we've actually, wasted a load of people's resources to just get our money back.
Yeah.
And also ruined our cash flow because we've had to pay you £4 grand a month. Like, so not knowing.
It's so interesting when we're talking about this. This is deep, deep stuff.
It is, and this is where so many people go wrong, mate. And it can,
This is where it's won and lost. This is
it
where it's
can
won.
this could literally be, if you're like listening to this and you have no idea the terminology we're using, literally go on YouTube and type in like business profitability 101 or something. Like, I don't know, like, there's got to be a video out there that just explains what gross net profit is, different costs.
Well, I think it's gone. Like whoever's watching, we're now 9 minutes 42 seconds into the video. Whoever's still watching this video is getting that's where they're getting the value, because this is so important that they understand. There's a challenge in winning clients. Like we've talked about this, getting new clients as part of your growth agency, your marketing agency, whatever the fuck you want to call it, doesn't matter. But getting clients to believe in you and give you a gut, like a try, is a challenge. We have it down to a knack, but it's a challenge.
Yep.
Managing them during the process is another challenge in itself, which is what we're really talking about.
And sometimes even teaching the client what I've just mentioned. Like we've got clients where they don't even know what their margin is. They don't even know what, their fixed cost is. And we've had to sit down with them in a 2-hour exercise to be like, right, I can't get off this call until you tell me your margin, your costs, what type of products you pay VAT on, even down to that level where you have to include VAT in your e-commerce brand. Like that's only be applicable for UK people, but it's to that level. And that's how, especially when you get to, working with the 7, 8, 9 figure e-commerce brands that we do, if you don't have someone in your business who's that number oriented person to dive in with their accountant, they will just swallow you up, and they'll find a way to manipulate that data to show that your campaigns aren't profitable.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Well, look, we're 11 minutes in.
It's a good video, that.
It is a good video.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you, all the links are down below. If you want to kind of learn a bit more about the academy and to learn that stuff in more detail, like there's a whole 2 or 3 videos on it from an e-commerce and lead generation perspective in one of the first few modules, and it runs you through exactly how to do it with spreadsheets, examples of e-commerce clients that Tom and I work with, and those spreadsheets that we were talking about. So yeah, look into it, and please subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.